Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into something huge. Why the old school IT career path is basically collapsing, and how artificial intelligence is building a completely new one right in its place.
Okay, let's just jump right in. What you're seeing here is pretty much the collapse of the traditional IT services model. Some people are even calling it the SaaS apocalypse. I mean, think about it. The old way was all about billing clients for human hours. That's getting completely shattered by AI agents that can do the work of like 10 people for a tiny fraction of the cost. It's a total game changer.
And listen, this isn't some sci-fi movie stuff happening way off in the future. The signs are literally everywhere. On one side, you've got these smaller companies openly talking about laying off 80% of their staff because an AI can just build an app in a week. Then on the other side, you've got a behemoth like Google telling its own employees, hey, get on board with AI or you can take a voluntary exit. The message, no matter the company size, is exactly the same. Adapt or you're going to get left behind.
All right, so what's the actual wrecking ball here? What's the force that's so fundamentally changing the entire structure of the tech world?
It's a complete flip, an economic inversion, really. The old model, it was all built on human capital. You needed to scale, you hired more engineers. Simple. The new model is built on what's called compute capital. All that money is shifting away from these giant payrolls and flowing straight towards GPUs, powerful chips, and API tokens. The key takeaway here, and this is crucial, is that companies are switching from renting human time to buying machine intelligence.
And you can see this play out in the market perfectly. Just look at this. On one side, you have the 5-year stock chart for a legacy IT company like Wipro. It's pretty flat, right? Now look at an AI-first company like NVIDIA. It's an absolute rocket ship, just explosive, exponential growth. The market is placing its bets, and let's just say it's not on the old guard.
Okay, so we've seen the big picture, but how does this industry-wide earthquake actually affect you, your career? Let's talk about the money.
So this leads to a question that might honestly blow your mind. How is it even possible that two fresh graduates joining the exact same company can have starting salaries that are just worlds apart? We're talking a difference of 5 times, sometimes even more.
Let's look at the actual numbers, the hard data. Take Infosys. A standard system engineer, a common entry-level role, might start around 3.5 lakhs per year. But a specialist programmer in the very same company can pull in up to 21 lakhs. That is a nearly 6-fold difference. And it's the same story over at TCS and Wipro. It's clear. There are now 2 completely separate tiers for entry-level jobs.
So what's the deal? The answer is a huge shift in hiring philosophy, and it's called skill-linked pay. You see, companies used to hire for capacity, basically just filling seats to meet a headcount number. That's over. Now they're hiring for capability. They are willing to pay a massive, massive premium for very specific, high-demand skills. And what does capability even mean in this context? It means you are ready to deploy from day one. Gone are the days of a 6-month generic training program before you do any real work, at least for these top-tier roles. Companies want talent that can jump in and contribute to their most complex, AI-driven projects immediately. No hand-holding required.
Okay, so if the old skill set just isn't cutting it anymore for these top jobs, what does this new, high-value skill stack actually look like? What do you really need to know?
It's easiest to think about it in 3 levels, or tiers. Tier 1, that's your fundamentals, your aptitude, how you communicate, basic stuff. Tier 2 is what most people think of as the core technical skills, data structures, algorithms, a programming language, SQL. But the real money, the thing that multiplies your salary, the absolute game changer, is all in Tier 3, the fully advanced skills.
And this is so important to get. The very skills that tons of students spend years and years perfecting, things like DSA and competitive programming, they're now just the starting line. They're not the finish line anymore. You absolutely need them, but they are no longer enough to get you one of those elite roles.
So what exactly are these elite skills? We're talking about big picture stuff, the ability to do system design and architecture for large-scale applications, deep, practical expertise in machine learning and AI, total mastery of cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, or GCP, and even leadership and strategic thinking. This is what companies are opening up their wallets for.
Okay, so this skill gap is obviously a huge challenge. But, it also points to a clear solution. A whole new blueprint for how we should be learning, and it's radically different from the traditional college model.
The solution that's popping up flips the old model on its head. Instead of getting hired and then getting trained by the company for a specific role, the expectation is shifting. The idea now is for you, the individual, to build those deep, project-based skills before you even apply.
And that means diving headfirst into the really cutting-edge stuff. For example, learning generative AI to create new images or even code. Using agentic AI to build systems that can think and act on their own. Really understanding the architecture of transformers and large language models, the engines behind tools like ChatGPT. And maybe most importantly, MLOps, which is all about how you actually deploy and manage this stuff in the real world.
At the end of the day, the ultimate proof of your skill isn't a grade on a test or a certificate, it's your portfolio. This new way of learning is all about proving what you can do through constant application. We're talking about building a track record of, say, over 100 real-world projects and MVPs that show a potential employer, look, I can actually deliver value right now.
And you know what's cool? When you build this kind of deep, practical skill set, you're not just training for a single job title. You're actually unlocking several different, really high-value career paths.
So, the most direct path is the job track. You're aiming for a high-end engineering role in a top product company. This means you focus on building a portfolio of projects that solve actual industry problems. You basically graduate as a job-ready engineer, not a fresher who needs months and months of training. Or maybe you're more into the deep, foundational stuff. That's the research track. Here, the focus shifts to tackling really hard tech challenges. The goal isn't just a job, but publishing papers, filing patents, and setting yourself up for a PhD program or a role in a serious R&D lab. And finally, there's the startup track. This is for the builders, the entrepreneurs. This is for people who want to build their own products and companies. It's a whole journey that takes you from the initial spark of an idea to working in teams to build an MVP, to validating it, and finally to pitching it to investors for funding. You graduate as a founder or a core member of a startup. So when you look at all this entire massive shift, it really boils down to one simple, powerful change in the question employers are asking. It's no longer, how many years did you study? The question now is, what can you build today?
This whole philosophy is the engine behind these new ways of learning. At the end of the day, it's not just about what you know anymore. It's about what you can demonstrably build. And that leaves us with one final, crucial question for every single person trying to build a career in tech. What will you create?